My name is Keith. I'm a Glockaholic. I didn't intend to become a Glockaholic. When I started working as a police officer 28 years ago, Glocks were just coming onto the scene, and I can only recall maybe one or two people in my academy class that had a Glock. Myself, I had a Smith & Wesson Model 910. It was a 9mm. For those who aren't familiar with the 910, the 910 was introduced by Smith & Wesson as a budget alternative for people who wanted semi-autos, much the same as the Smith & Wesson Model 10 for police work, or for police officers, a 38 Special. Model 10 was a 15 round. It had a decocker on one side, it had a straight back strap, and it was a good weapon. Now, I tried to resist the Glocks. In my academy class, I can think we had maybe one person who had a Glock while we were going for our firearms qualifications. I didn't want a Glock. I liked the heft. When I worked in corrections, I had a Smith & Wesson Model 15, which is a substantial revolver. We went to the Model 66, which had a good heft to it, and I was used to it. So I resisted getting the Glock. Well, a few years went by, and I decided that I was going to give the Glock a try. Thus began my journey as a Glockaholic. I started out with a Smith & Wesson a Glock 40 caliber. Now, I carried that from probably 2001 to maybe 2015. In between there, I'd worked for a sheriff's department, and I was issued a Beretta 96, which again was a substantial gun, and I carried that for a while, and I got away from the Glock, but I always went back to the Glock. When I left the sheriff's department, I picked up my Glock. And to supplement my 40 caliber Glock, I got a subcompact 40 caliber Glock. Now, was it a nice weapon? Yeah, it was a nice weapon. It was bulky as all hell, and I really didn't care that much for it, but it was a good backup weapon. It was interchangeable with the magazines, and it was just a great alternative to the full-size Glock. Well, years went by, and I transferred over to the Glock 9mm. Now, I like the Glock 9mm. You know, 17 rounds, very low recoil. The modern 9mm ammo has just as much stopping power as a lot of the 40 calibers and a lot of the larger rounds. It's a good gun. I feel comfortable carrying a Glock 17 on my belt. While continuing in my pattern as a Glockaholic, I bought a Glock 43. Now, the Glock 43 is a nice little handgun. It's very compact, it's very slim, it shoots well. It only holds 6 rounds, plus one in the chamber is 7 rounds, which, as a backup gun, perhaps that's all you're going to need. So I was happy. I was continuing my life as a Glockaholic until a couple weeks ago I went out shooting with a friend. Now, I'm not paid by anybody to advertise their guns, but I shot a Smith & Wesson Shield. Now, at the same time, I was practicing with my Glock 43. Well, the Smith & Wesson Shield just seemed to have a much smoother trigger. It was much more comfortable to shoot. So I ended up buying a Shield Plus. Now, for those of you who have never shot a Smith & Wesson Shield Plus, it is a compact handgun. It comes with 14-round magazine. One in the pipe, you have 15 rounds. It's roughly the same size as a Glock 43. So I went through a little withdrawal because I now carry that as my backup gun, and I also carry it for everyday carry. So I'm trying to break the bonds of being a Glockaholic. I guess the message I want to send forth in this video is be open to other types of things. You know, I carried the Glock for years, and I like it. I still carry it on my belt. It's still a good weapon. But, you know, perhaps if I'd have tried something else earlier on, I would have liked that better. Perhaps if I would have tried the Smith & Wesson M&P. Perhaps if I would have tried the Springfield XD. These are all fine duty weapons. Don't limit yourself to one weapon, unless your department mandates that you carry it, such as the sheriff's department did when I carried the Beretta 96. I didn't have any choice. But if you have a choice, look over the vast multitude of duty weapons that are out there and find one that you really like. Then, perhaps, unlike me, you will not be a Glockaholic. Until next time, this is Keith Helwig from Cops Corrections Videos. Stay safe and watch your back.